Man, we have so many interesting things to talk about today. Sorry, I'm just waiting for the live pop up on YouTube. What? Can you guys hear me? I know I started a little late. I had to get a prescription for my dad at the pharmacy. You guys can hear me, right? Okay, just making sure. Oh, yeah, okay. Just double checking. There we go. Okay, now it's showing. Sorry, the audio mixer wasn't showing my mic sound. I was like, what is happening? Hey, Leah. Okay, there's the YouTube chat. There we go. You have so much to talk about. Orange Grandpa, senile Orange Grandpa, since the people that love him refuse to commit him to a home for senile dictators, has struck again. I and it's hard to say, like, when is Trump's latest embarrassing rant, like the worst one we've ever seen. This could possibly be one of the most embarrassing days in the White House. Well, especially for MAGA, because I mean, now he's just finally calling you all stupid and saying that he's going. I mean, I don't even basically unfollow you all. Trump is now saying he's going to have to stop liking some of his followers. Give me 1 second to get a drink of water, and then we'll get this party started. We could be live for 10 hours with all this information we have. Tap the screen. Let's get to 50K as fast as possible. I'm trying to get to 360 subs. If you would like to subscribe or buy a month sub for someone else, please do. Did I pin the live goal? I think we're good. Give me 1 second. I shall be right back. I always plan to talk about things, and then based on Trump's, senility and insanity, things change. Thank you so much for the gift. Things change and they change fast. So based on that, we'll see. I have all the clips I promise. Like, I've been clipping things going on in Congress. Is all the most interesting things. So I mean, I think we're all used to being betrayed every single day in the legislative branch, and then we'll mix that with Trump's lies, some of the for-profit media lies. This is going to be really interesting. I want to, and then I'm going to mix that with some economic stuff. I'm going to try to do this like I'll see if I can weave it all together. But I just want to say, thank you for the gift, JV. Who subscribed? Chrissy, thank you for the giveaway subs. Chrissy N64. Thank TikTok Studios made it easier to see who subscribes. Thank God. Thank you so much for the 5 giveaway subs. Amazing. Chrissy N64. I hope that's Nintendo 64. That might be one of the best gaming systems of all time. TikTok thinks I'm a gamer, so maybe I'll start. I'm going to get an old Nintendo 64. If you have no idea what I'm talking about, I think because I use this feature, which is casting my iPad, they think I'm like a gamer. So they invited me to join like the TikTok gaming Discord, and I have no business in there. I'm like, people are like, oh, what game do you play? Solitaire? I have no idea what's going on in here. Yeah, Dr. Mario. Dr. Mario's a good one. Oh, that is a good one. I'm gonna buy old gaming systems because I'm always looking for new ways to manage my anxiety. That could be a good one. Just bring back get a Super Nintendo, a Nintendo 64, a Sega Dreamcast. I used to have a CD that went in the Sega Dreamcast that had every classic NES Nintendo Entertainment System game ever made on one CD. I have no idea what happened to that CD. Hey guys, we're just about to get started. Everyone tap the screen. Let's get to 50K as fast as possible. I forgot to turn on the air conditioning again, so I feel like I'm going to die. Okay, one more drink of water and then we're starting. Sorry, I ran 10 miles in the most humid. It's monsoon season in Arizona. We may not get any moisture, but it is unbelievably humid and hot. At least it's usually a dry heat. Now it's humid too today. Okay. And I wasn't sure if I was going to play this clip, but based on all of Trump's stupidity I just had to watch in the White House, I watched like 3 hours of Trump embarrassing himself. So I just wanted to show this clip of something Trump said yesterday about AOC and Jasmine Crockett. So let's just when we go through all of Trump's lies, all of Trump's betrayals, the hypocrisy, I assume MAGA will be in the chat today angry at Trump. So they should be entering the chat being like, wow, Felice, you were right. Trump's a liar and a hypocrite who's insulting my intelligence. Please never again get mad at me for insulting MAGA or saying they don't know what's going on. You guys like that. You love when your leader says that you have no idea what's going on and you can't think. Unless today's the day that you're defecting and you come into the chat, MAGA, to say, man, you guys were right. This guy's a liar. Then otherwise, be quiet. Okay, I just want to play this one clip just to start out because the theme of today is somebody come get Orange Grandpa. He's not well. But this is, and also, I don't want to act like we don't have serious things to talk about too, because in my opinion, one of the people's districts, right? In one breath, he's like, oh, Jasmine Crockett, her brain doesn't work. She has a low IQ. Yeah, if her brain doesn't work and she's a non-factor, why are you trying to redistrict all of Texas, particularly her district, and trying to make it harder for her to be reelected? That's a pretty serious thing to do for someone whose brain doesn't work.
And, AOC, look, I think she's very nice, but she's very low IQ. And we really don't need low IQ. Between her and Crockett, we're going to give them both an IQ test to see who comes out best. Now, I took my test. I took a real test at Walter Reed Medical Center, and I aced it. I got every one of all those questions right. Now it's time for them to take a test. Anyway, have a good time. I like Dan Bongino, yeah.
I just remember you heard this. Actually, no, I'm going to say, in my opinion, he is the dumbest person to ever be president of the United States. I mean, there were some other dumb ones, but I mean, Ed is talking about IQ. The guy who's saying that his brain works doesn't realize what an IQ test is. Trump did not take an IQ test at Walter Reed. Just to be clear. Like, does everyone understand? Trump took a dementia test. And I think that that's part of my theme today. Someone come get Orange Grandpa. He thinks that a test where you identify a camel is an IQ test. And that's part of the reason we all need to be concerned. Trump believes that what they give old people whose brains are failing is somehow an IQ test. In fact, it is not. And we should all be very concerned that Trump took this test. This is the Montreal Cognitive Assessment. This is what they give people who they suspect have dementia. This has never been an IQ test. So I don't know. I'm not saying Trump's never taken one, but also intelligence quotient, like that's largely, as a teacher, there's many different types of intelligences. And in corporate America, and I worked in corporate America a while ago now, and even then, like they're moving to EQ, like emotional quotient, like IQ tests have a lot of that. I don't even think people care about IQ tests anymore. Oh yeah, this is the test Trump took. Someone replied to this clip and posted this. His name is Jonathan Rayner. Once again, the MoCA is a dementia screening tool, not an IQ test. Identifying a camel is a pretty low bar. But don't tell Trump thinks he aced an IQ test, which you don't get an A or a B or a C or a D or an F on an IQ test either, which don't tell him that either. But that's all you got to do is circle a camel. This is the test before they put you in the home. Okay, and Trump thinks he took an IQ test. Sorry, I was reading a comment. Okay, I just thought that. So the reason I'm pointing that out is in one breath, this guy is calling some of the most brilliant people in Congress dumb and saying they need an IQ test. And apparently maybe they told him he was taking one. He's not even smart enough to know what an IQ test is. And I do think we should find that concerning. I want to, it's like I have two presentations, so I'm just thinking about what order to do this in, because this is always what happens to me. I have one order and then everything gets switched up. I want to talk about, well, okay. So on Monday, Trump started talking about, lying about the economy. I was like, oh, here comes the inflation report. Then on Tuesday, the inflation numbers come out and inflation has gone up, right? To 2.7%. And actually, I think if you take out the volatile, it's actually the volatile energy and food is actually at 2.9, which is even more concerning. So what does that tell me about the economy? Just that it's finally happening. Trump announced the tariff thing. Corporations bought up a ton of inventory, of cheap inventory prior to the tariffs. And now that inventory is dwindling, things are costing more and more. And I think a concerning thing that I haven't heard a lot of people mentioning, because I want to explain why we're actually in a quagmire. There's no simple answer to this, and this will lead into another moment of Trump's dementia. Today, I was posting about it in the Discord. I was like, oh my God. You know how Trump keeps threatening and shaming Jerome Powell? That's the chair of the Fed. Well, here's the quagmire, right? The chair of the Fed needs to keep we're trying to lower inflation, right? I mean, that's the point. But the problem is that also in June, Matt and I were talking about this yesterday, we have a problem with employment. In the private sector, we were projected to hire. I'm talking about the private sector, not whatever Trump says is going on with the government. In the private sector, ADP projected 100,000 new jobs in June. We were at negative 33,000. What is it? Is it? Hold on. Let me just look up because I don't want to get the number wrong. I knew it yesterday. ADP private sector jobs June. I just don't want to get the number wrong. Okay. Yeah. In June, the U.S. private sector experienced a net loss of 33,000 jobs. They were projecting 100,000, I believe. Oh, this is 95, but I'm pretty sure ADP, or I think ADP's projection was 100,000. This is not ADP. This is something else. But okay, let's go according to what I'm reading now. So 95 instead. So this service providing sector lost 56,000 against the projection. Yeah, it's very bad. So the reason I'm telling you this and bringing up employment and the rising cost of goods is because the answer to these problems, or let's say the solutions, are the exact opposites, right? Let's say prices are rising, right? What we usually do then is hold interest rate, we'd hold interest rates high to lower inflation. But at the same exact time, we have a problem from employment. So what do we do when the employment rates are stagnating or I'm sorry, the unemployment rates are stagnating or rising? We would lower interest rates because that makes money cheaper. So billionaires would borrow money in theory, start businesses, and hire more people. So do you guys see what I'm saying? This is the definition. When you hear people say it, I think oftentimes you're like, I'm not exactly sure what that means. It's stagflation, right? It's when you're in this quagmire of, well, I can't, no matter what I do, I'm going to F something up, right? Like if I lower interest rates and make money cheaper to borrow, right? Maybe we'll hire more people, but inflation's going to rise, right? We have a problem that there is now no answer to. Yeah, we'll get to the 30-year bond. We are so effed. I don't even want to scare people. I'll get more into the finance numbers, but this is the real fear. Why people fear stagflation is this, because no matter what you do now, right, either people are going to lose their jobs or prices are going to get higher, right? There's no answer. It's like either way, something bad is going to happen at this point. And that is because of tariffs, right? Tariffs are affecting the inflation number, even though we're holding interest rates steady and trying to drop inflation. Tariffs are driving inflation up. So we're holding David, This is your Dale. This is your warning. This is your one warning. This is not say dumb things in the chat time. So you've been unblocked for 2 weeks. Act like you have some sense. You're my longest and favorite troll. Don't ruin it. I know because the rest of them are much worse. Don't do it, David. I know you want to. Stop harassing people. Okay, so I just want to get in. Actually, as long as we're on this line of logic, I could not find anyone talking about stagflation, except for I found one guy on the Midas Touch Network. That's why I was a little late. Because I was like, someone has to be talking about this on a clip that's easily understandable. Just seeing if it uploaded to the cloud. Actually, sorry, it's still loading. So before that, I'm going to get into the stuff. Someone mentioned the treasury yield and bonds. I'm going to go through those numbers because I think all of this is important to understand, right? Which normally Trump wants a distraction, but I actually think this is not the Jeffrey Epstein distraction is not actually working in his favor. Sorry, give me 1 second to find my. Oh, here they are. Okay. Where are we? Okay. So I'm just going to quote some different sources. So from CNBC, consumer prices, that's the CPI, the Consumer Price Index, rose in June as President Trump. So this is exactly what I'm talking about, right? Things are getting more expensive and we're losing jobs at the same time. And the solutions to those problems would be the exact opposite. So now we're in a quagmire, and this is what stagflation is. Consumer prices rose in June as President Trump's tariffs begin to slowly work their way through the U.S. economy. The Consumer Price Index, a broad-based measure of goods and services costs, increased 0.3% on the month, putting the 12-month, because that's when we talk about the inflation rate, it's the 12-month trailing inflation rate at 2.7%. The annual rate is the highest since February, and still well above, because the real target, right, when we usually will lower interest rates, the reason that we were projected to, right, remember, we were like 2.3 or 2.4 before Trump got in office. And so the projection for the year at the end of the last fiscal year was rate cuts, right? Make money cheaper to borrow, which would drive up employment. It would make more jobs available. That's what would have happened if crazy grifter Orange Grandpa didn't strike. So the annual rate is the highest since February and still above the Federal Reserve's 2% target. So then, I feel like I can't remember what this is called, but when you look at the inflation rates, you normally, a lot of times you exclude energy and food because those are very volatile. So if you take food and energy prices, core inflation picked up 0.2% on the month, with the annual rate moving to 2.9%. With the annual rate in line with estimates, the monthly level was slightly below the outlook for 0.3% gain. Okay, so that's when we move out. But we'll get into that. I mean, food is going to be a big problem, especially with the strike coming. But we'll get to that in a second. So this is what an economist I like, Heather Long. You can see the jump in June inflation. Some key imports are starting to spike in price. Price hikes in June alone. So durable goods are up 0.5%. That's terrifying. Linens plus 5.9%. Oranges 4.7%. Olives 4.4%, not 0.4%. 4.4%. Cookware plus 4%. Audio equipment. This is why people were like, buy any electronics you need before Trump gets in office. Now you're seeing the numbers. This is terrifying. Plus 2.9%. Major appliances plus 2.4%. Coffee 2.2%, because we cannot make coffee in mainland US, right? You have to be in the tropics. Sports equipment, 1.8%. Toys, 1.4%. Some items did see decreases. Eggs, minus 10.8%. But still, and let me just give you an idea. Trump drove up the price of eggs through idiocy. and not buying inventory like Biden had done, egg prices year over year are still up. I just want to be clear. They just were so out of control that they've leveled off. But if you look at year over year, egg prices are still up. New vehicles, 0.2%. They've gone down 0.2%. So the bottom line, this is just the beginning, which, yeah, when you look at my favorite economists and their prospectus, like this is nothing compared, they're saying we're still 4 months out from the nightmare, from the start of the real nightmare. So bottom line, this is just the beginning, but we need to watch food closely. Increases there are really tough on the middle class and moderate income households. And now remember, any subsidies for food, that whatever it was, a few dollars a month in SNAP money is gone. So the volatility of food is exponentially skyrocketing. The prices are going up, and any little amount of help to get children the food they need is going to be taken away. Let's keep tapping the screen. We're almost to 50K. Sorry, I hate talking so much, but I just want to get through these numbers. So, and then remember, Trump just imposed a 17% tariffs on Mexican tomatoes. 50% of the tomatoes in the US come from Mexico. Just to give examples of the crazy stuff he's doing. Oh, this is what I wanted to talk about too. The 30-year Treasury yield rose to 5%. Now, I loved when the Treasury yield started rising, the 30-year yield and the 10-year yield, and Mac was like, "Look at that beautiful graph on X." Don't hang out on X. People's brains don't work. But Mac is like, "Look at that beautiful graph up and to the right," and people had to be like, "That's not good. That's not a good thing. Up is bad. Down is good." And this is interest rates, right? Whatever loan you have, whatever mortgage, and we're about to borrow a S load of money. And all of this is going to hit at once. So we have not even begun to see the terror of the economy. I feel like there's one more thing. Oh, yes. I want to say this. So if you saw Trump attack Adam Schiff, please, what I say, the minute that inflation report came out, when the Treasury yield went up, all of a sudden Trump starts talking about Adam Schiff. It's a distraction, literally. Trump is freaking out. Over the Epstein stuff, but also over the economy. And he's like, "Oh, look at Adam Schiff. Like, I really hate that guy. Like, mortgage fraud. You've pardoned horrific criminals, Trump. You're saying you're accusing Adam Schiff of mortgage fraud, which I'm not saying Adam Schiff did anything, and I don't think that he did, to my knowledge. But I'm just saying, like, literally, the rising inflation report was released, and immediately Trump's like, "Adam Schiff is a scam artist." Like, okay, never seen you do that before. And if he's talking about a sustained pattern of mortgage fraud, I thought I had oh no, let me show you the clip of Trump talking about Adam Schiff.
We want Adam Schiff brought to justice. I would love to see him brought to justice. I'll tell you what, I think Adam Schiff is one of the lowest of the low. I would love to see him brought to justice. He's a dishonest, crooked guy. I don't know about the individual charge, if that even happens, but Adam Schiff is a serious lowlife.
Remember, Senator Adam Schiff of California, the reason Trump doesn't like him is he was one of the impeachment managers, one of the lawyers that presided over Trump's impeachment. That's why he no likey Adam Schiff. So just to remind you why he's always mad at Adam Schiff. He blames Adam Schiff for, just bringing up things that he did. Wait, I thought I had this clip, or I wanted to read the quote from Matt. Oh, I do have it. I just want to read Adam Schiff's response to these ridiculous things. Quote, "Since I led his first impeachment, Trump has repeatedly called for me to be arrested for treason." True story. "So in a way, I guess this is a bit of a letdown. And this baseless attempt at political retribution won't stop me from holding him accountable. Not by a long shot. This is just Trump's latest attempt at political retaliation against his perceived enemies. So it is not a surprise. It is not a surprise only how weak this false allegation turns out to be. Yeah, basically Adam Schiff's like, that's it. Like, yeah, I didn't do that. And much as Trump may hope, this smear will not distract from his Epstein files problem. Yeah, and I will just say this. Trump has been investing Adam Schiff for decades. I mean that literally, for a decade. About as long as he was investigating Joe Biden. So if it would be shocking to me if somehow he missed mortgage fraud, but also Trump's the guy that lied on loan application after loan application and owes the state of New York $400 something million. So I do find it a little bit hilarious. Sorry, one of my computers just went to sleep suddenly. Just making sure it's open. Okay, let me... Sorry, I'm just thinking of where I want to go. I think I want to show this Jim Acosta clip because I think this is going to be real. Oh, wait, no, it loaded. Okay, my economic clip finally loaded. It's here.
Right into the numbers because I think you're going to spot a trend.
I don't know who this guy, I guess his name's Max. I've really never watched him before. I was just trying to find somebody who was talking about stagflation and what I'm trying to describe this quagmire the economy is entering. And this was the only person I could find. So I didn't even know who Max was.
Here, according to the BLS, the quote, all
Brian, Trump is not okay. David, I'm telling you, the next time I see you say something dumb, you're getting blocked. But Brian, no, you're the one giving a man who lied to you, who ran on releasing the Epstein files. And don't worry, Brian, you should quietly remain here so you can watch Trump calling you all stupid and gaslighting you all today. I am not the one giving Trump a Andrew Jackson 24 hours a day while he robs me and lies to me. I'm able to read and do math. So Trump is your daddy, not mine. I'm not full time literally giving the man a Andrew Jackson who stole everything from me. That's your job, Brian, and you better get back to it. I hope you're typing with one hand. Yeah. Best Brian is the Brian, bless your heart. Stick around and listen. But this is your fair warning, Brian. This is not time for dumb people to say dumb things. You can listen quietly, but if you distract people, yes, I used to be a teacher. If you distract people during class, then you will be blocked. And Brian, you have no idea what you're talking about. So you truly need to be here. This is for you, Brian. Today could be the day you learn something. Let's all everyone say a silent prayer that Brian might learn something today. Your wrist must be real tired, Brian. You're probably going to get arthritis soon. So this could be the day that you don't have to do this anymore. Keep tapping the screen. Let's get to 100K as fast as possible. Yeah, you too, David. God, David's got carpal tunnel. David has 2 wrist braces on. Okay, again, his name's Max, and he's on the Midas Touch Network. I just didn't know who he was before now.
Trend here. According to the BLS, the quote, all items index rose 2.7% for the 12 months ending.
We hear all items index, right? Like that is everything, including food and energy, which are very volatile.
June, after rising 2.4% over the 12 months ending in May. The all items less food and energy index rose 2.9% over the last 12 months. Now, before we break things down even further, it's important to view it as a trend. So let's look at the data over time. What we're seeing here is that inflation is not transitory, as the administration had hoped. You can see where the sense of optimism was in the early part of 2025 when inflation decelerated in February and actually fell in March, but then it reared its head again in April, slightly again in May, and now you can see that it's just heading right back up. So a few points before we look at the components which tell the only real story that matters to U.S. consumers.
Is this echoing? Do you guys hear an echo, or did Chris just type? Do you guys hear? Is this video echoing? It is? Hold on a second. I can fix that. And Dale, I'm not above what? Dale, you are above nothing. Like, I know you're not talking about what I'm above or not. You are literally in the mud talking to me about what I'm above. That's hilarious. Wait, why? How do I? Sorry, I'm just thinking quick. I need to go to the actual audio mixer. Why is it not primary speakers? Maybe that's it. Monitors off. I'm just trying to figure out why it would be echoing. And I just need to check. Yeah, the monitors are off on here. Let me just check my auto mixer on my on my PC. Because that's the only reason I could figure out why my iPad would be echoing. Everything's muted. Yep. Here, let me just check my sound mixer on my PC. Yeah, I haven't changed any settings, and all of it is off. Yep. It's literally muted. Microphones, speakers. That is so strange. This one I truly don't know. Everything is muted. Here, let me turn it down a little. Might be built. Yeah, it isn't bad, but like normally I can fix if there is an echo, I can figure out why because there's an extra. Let's see, casting, alert, give, subscribers, sound effects, speaker. Yeah, everything is as it should be. Let me check one more thing. Normally there's a double, another sound on. Everything is good. Okay. How? Yeah, I don't know. I honestly, I checked all the sound mixers that I have access to, and there shouldn't be an echo. So hopefully, and I'm listening to what you guys are listening to in my ears, and I don't hear it.
We've said all along that inflation would start to show up in the data in a meaningful way beginning in June because companies would have started to turn over the cheaper inventory that they stockpiled ahead of the tariff war. Upon replenishing, core inputs would start to push the numbers higher and higher. Now, we're not the only ones who've been saying this, obviously, but it's one of the primary reasons that the FOMC has been reluctant to move on interest rates. But the real damage has yet to be seen, and you're probably going to see it bleed out even more in the months ahead. Now, I'm going to give you two big caveats here. The first is that energy prices are a drag on these figures, so it's always important to exclude them. See, when a conflict breaks out, like bombing Iran, or it heightens anywhere on the planet for that matter, speculators push energy prices higher and it can have an immediate impact. Now, the flip side of that is also true that when geopolitical forces are calmer, you get a sense of what energy really looks like because it correlates more closely to supply and demand. So the other caveat is that an economic slowdown will have a muted effect on inflation going forward. So if we continue to fall further into the Trump recession and global demand cools off, it has a double impact on inflation, or at least it should. Energy prices typically cool pretty quickly in a recession because our reserves and our production are solid and the gap widens between supply and demand. But it also means that in very sensitive segments of the economy, like new automobiles or RVs, certain durable items, producers start to cut prices to woo consumers back. So the problem for the administration is that the tariffs are being actualized in the inflation data already. It's hard to imagine considering we have the world's best deal maker personally writing these deals.
That's how this administration works. We let the greatest deal maker who's ever been in that office, he makes the deals.
These forces are already pulling back on certain segments, as we'll see in a moment, which means the tariffs are already pushing prices higher. And this is the dreaded stagflationary environment that everyone wanted to avoid, including Trump. It's why he's so adamant about pushing Powell to lower interest rates to spark consumer refinancing and corporate debt restructuring and hiring.
We have a bad Fed chairman, really bad.
I think we're good on that. I think it's his voice. I really do. Because, I've gotten actually pretty good at sound mixers, and I don't think there's anything wrong. But that is the point. Like, this is a quagmire that's not going to stop. Like, we have an employment problem, we have an inflation problem, and that is the tariff actualization being baked into it. And as the price of inventory and moving inventory across the ocean increases, and God forbid we're pulled into a war, because no new wars Trump. I don't know if anyone saw, but no new wars Trump. Israel, what was it today? Was unleashing holy hell. I know you think I'm about to say Iran or Lebanon. Nope, Syria. The place where there was a coup and a revolution. Well, we're still after Syria. So, yeah, literally, nobody would dare. We support Israel. Israel would do nothing without Trump saying it's okay. And if you want to know why think about how Trump okayed this. Trump yesterday is like, don't get me wrong, I don't think Trump's going to go back on his deal with Putin, because I don't think there is a deal with Putin. I think Putin is leveraging him, but he's like a petulant child who's being held hostage by Putin, who's annoyed with him. And you're like, what does that have to do with Syria? Syria is Putin's base in the Middle East, right? And Putin's annoyed, which he kind of implied was because Melania's mad at him about what Putin's doing in Ukraine. And so next thing you know, all of a sudden, Syria is getting the boom boom. When did Powell arrive as inflation guy? Oh, yeah, we're gonna get there. Let me stay on that. We'll get into a lot of things today, but let me talk about Orange Grandpa's one of his most embarrassing moments. There's just a lot of pathological lies, but one of my most concerning moments for Orange Grandpa today was when he started screaming in front of people. What's Bahrain's prime minister? I think it's so funny. I bet world leaders call each other on the phone and they're like, I'm just going to go sit in the chair next to Trump today while he humiliates himself and everyone else. And watching these prime ministers or heads of NATO or whoever it is sit there and just be like, that man's face. Don't even watch Trump and and I'm going to show you, Trump lost his mind today. Orange Grandpa needs to be in a home. But the prime minister of Bahrain just tried to be like, can I get out? It's like, where is the eject? Where is the eject button on this GD seat? He just kept crossing and uncrossing his legs. He's like, help me. And it just went on longer and longer and longer. Here, let me pull this up. So this is just, and we'll get into more of the actual meltdown of well, Trump attacked MAGA today. That's the good news. Well, while just making up a series of lies, but today Trump saved all his ire for calling MAGA stupid. But this is Trump, Orange Grandpa, forgetting that he, in fact, appointed Jerome Powell the chair of the Federal Reserve. And this is where we're at now with Orange Grampy.
He's a terrible Fed chair. I was surprised he was appointed. I was surprised, frankly, that Biden put him in and extended him, but they did. So, no, we're not planning on doing anything. We're very concerned.
Trump put him in. Trump put him in. It was you, Orange Grandpa. You did it, and you have no idea. He's a terrible Fed chair. I was surprised he was appointed. This is the exact quote. You were surprised that you appointed him, Orange Grandpa? Can somebody please help this man if you care about him? And I just want to show you, these are the first comments underneath the post. It's time for a nap at the nursing home. Whoopsies. Personally, I think it's time for Grandpa to head to a retirement home. They should. This is my favorite one. They should fire the person who appointed him. I think that would solve a lot of problems. What idiot appointed this guy? He won't kick in economic recovery measures when the economy is growing to prop up my approval rating. What an idiot. This is where we're at. Trump can't remember that he appointed the chair of the Fed that he now has a problem with. And I just want to say something. Jerome Powell is doing the right thing for the U.S. economy. I just want to be clear. And what we should be terrified of is whether Trump, which let me just read a letter that came to my inbox, not to me. I'm not saying this was addressed to me personally, but wait, hold on. I need to find Trump. Yeah, here it is. This is the New York Times update. Trump drafted letter to fire Fed chair and asked Republicans if he should, which he doesn't have the power to, right? This is not an agency funded by Congress. He does not have the power to fire Jerome Powell. The president waived a copy of a draft letter firing Jerome H. Powell at a meeting in the Oval Office with House Republicans. It remains to be seen whether he follows through with his threat. Again, the article is called Trump has a draft of a letter to fire Fed chair. He asked Republicans if he should send it. Jerome Powell's term is almost up. That's Trump appointed him in 2016 or whatever. Like, he's almost done. Is that wait, am I getting that wrong? When did Trump appoint Jerome Powell? November 2nd, 2017. So Trump, so he's almost done. Yeah, I don't know why, but I should have just waited for you guys to look it up. I don't need to do this. I have you guys. I have your brains to remind me. So I'm just saying it's not like he has that long to wait. And just remember, though, the quagmire of stagflation. Trump's, in my opinion, I want to believe, and I mean this genuinely, I want to believe that Trump is just putting on this show because the majority of MAGA are not college educated and can't read or do math. And he's hoping hey, if I just put on this show and blame Jerome Powell, they'll just believe that. Because the answer is not lowering interest rates right now. Inflation is coupled with the tariffs baked into the inflation numbers now, inflation will skyrocket. The price of things will be exorbitant. That's not a good idea. What I really fear is when Trump goes to appoint the next Fed chair and he appoints some sycophant who will do anything he says and Trump doesn't understand the economy whatsoever, and then we are in real trouble. Jerome Powell, believe me, I'm no friend to the Federal Reserve either. You should hear me when I talk to libertarians. It's not that I love the Federal Reserve. I just think all we can do is hold things steady at this point. That's it. And pray that Trump stops with the tariff nonsense. There's no other fix to this. Okay. I just wanted to get through some of these numbers before we move on to, the many things we have to move on to today. Oh yeah. I'm going to show the Jim Acosta clip really quick because I think it's going to be a through line of today's people's receipts. Maybe I'll show a couple. Jim Acosta is just the man. I love Jim Acosta. Every time I hear him speak, I'm like, oh yeah, I forgot how much I love this man. Where are you, Jim?
That paper is more sophisticated now than computers.
Thank you so much. Keep tapping the screen. Let's get to, we got to 100K. Thank you guys so much. Sorry, give me 1 second. I don't know. I need to find this. I know I added this clip. It's my favorite one. I just need to find it. Oh, actually, I'll look for that. And I forgot. I have a million things I want to show you guys. Can I just show you guys something even better than that? This is the world we live in now. Do you guys, if you've been watching me even back, a year ago at this time, I was still doing lives with Jay. I remember there was a day when I was like, oh my God, Bill O'Reilly's still alive. I think I get Bill O'Reilly mistaken with Rush Limbaugh, and I thought he wasn't alive anymore. And then Jay was like, no, he's on News Nation. Still alive. And I was like, oh, well, let me just, if we're nominating people to go alongside with Trump to the home, for, demented senile dictators. Bill O'Reilly could be his Bill O'Reilly can accompany him there. This is Bill O'Reilly, and this is a primetime news anchor delivering the news to whoever watches News Nation. God knows I don't, but don't watch it anymore. This is the best News Nation has. Here comes Bill O'Reilly trying to deliver the news on Jeffrey Epstein, but having no idea anything about Jeffrey Epstein. Truly, the most embarrassing moment.
This is how disingenuous that comment was, and this is what infuriates me about these people. Jeffries knew the Biden administration had exactly the same thing the Trump administration has on Epstein. Exactly. Right. Because Epstein was convicted during the Biden administrations. Not one time did Hakeem Jeffrey call for any exposition of what the Biden Justice Department knew. Not once. So this guy's a top phony, okay? He's a political player. He doesn't care about the truth. He doesn't care about the people.
Hold on. Bill.
This is what
hold on.
he does.
Hold on, Bill. Hold on. You said Epstein was convicted during the Biden administration. Epstein committed suicide during the Trump administration.
Yeah, so?
How is he convicted? How do you convict
Epstein
a guy who's dead?
was convicted I believe, okay, under Merrick Garland's Justice Department. That could be. Am I wrong on that?
Just like Jerome Powell was appointed by Biden. They just are so used to pinning everything on Biden. These people, we've got people telling us what's going on in the world who can't count and don't know.
I don't think so. And then he was incarcerated, and then he committed suicide. Okay. The suicide thing is bull. I know the New York coroner's office very, very well. There's no way those people in there put a phony report about a suicide. No way. Impossible. And it's not hard to ascertain whether you committed suicide.
I think this is important. Bill, I think this is important. He was arrested in 2019, and he committed suicide in 2019. He died August 10th of 2019. So the Biden administration was not involved in a conviction or a trial of him. They were of Ghislaine Maxwell.
Okay. And that's a good point of clarification. But he was arrested and indicted under Merrick Garland.
No, under Trump.
Who had all of the information.
Epstein was arrested, indicted, and committed suicide under Trump. In 2019, Trump was president. Merrick Garland was not the attorney general.
Okay, I stand corrected.
Somebody come get Bill O'Reilly and Orange Grandpa and take them away. Like, these are the people that are trying to lead us through this. Bill O'Reilly has no idea where or when he is. Like, what are you doing? Like, this is, and I'm sure actually probably Trump was like, just go with it. Just keep saying that. That sounds good to me. Like, he probably would have appreciated him just continuing the lie. Okay, sorry, I'm just thinking of what order I want to go in. I'm just going to go on the Epstein things, but before this is over, remind me at the end, I want to talk about Mike Waltz. I want to just show a couple clips, because you remember the only guy who's ended up under the wheels of the bus in the Trump administration so far, Mike Waltz, the man whose contacts were sucked up into that Signal chat about those attack plans. Yeah, he's had his confirmation hearing for his new job. If you remember, Elise Stefanik was gonna be the UN ambassador, but then they realized they couldn't win her district. They couldn't win a special election in that district, so they made Elise get back in Congress after she was already like measuring the drapes for her office in the sky in New York. And now they've given Mike Waltz that job. And he has to go through another confirmation hearing. I'll update the gift goal in just 1 second. Actually, maybe I'll just go through these now, because I think it's all important. Like, I've never seen someone more coached on how to lie about things. And yeah, it's all lies. Mike Waltz has been... If you remember, when these confirmation hearings first started, I said, actually, the only two people qualified in Trump's cabinet are with the resume and the education for the job, and it will. Like, I don't even recognize who Mike Waltz is anymore in his confirmation hearing. And just to be clear, there was an hour that went by of no one even asking Mike Waltz about Signalgate. Like, this hearing went on for an hour and no one was like, hey, what about all those, like, the incompetence and, like, the weird stories you told about Signalgate? No one. And this is a good example about how I just want to show you the gaslighting that was going on inside this hearing. It's just 3 clips, and that way I don't have to come back to it at the end while it's fresh in my mind.
Secretary looked across the interagency and those entities. They made those decisions.
But the private sector isn't going to fight Russian and Chinese propaganda around the world, right? I mean, that has to be an essential function of U.S. national security policy, correct?
Well, what they are going to do is show the power of free markets, the power of entrepreneurship, and show really the power of the U.S. In terms of a free society and with our values.
We're going to rely on like
Disney. I think we're actually more aligned than what you think. And what we were looking at is the actual effectiveness. It's the tool that we questioned, and then the president and secretary made a decision to reallocate resources.
Listen, I hope the administration does rethink this. If they've got a better idea on how to try to project power in the information space, then I think we're all willing to hear it. But right now, we're taking ourselves off the playing field.
Secretary looked across.
Say what now? Like, what kind of world are we living in? Mike Waltz doesn't even make sense. And then it got to the point of like, okay, is Mike Waltz okay? And then I realized, oh, these are the gaslighted answers that he was told to give over and over and over.
Of the UN and the UN mission, but in your role in the Army, in the House, as National Security Advisor, you have long handled classified and highly sensitive information. We both know Signal is not an appropriate, secure means of communicating highly sensitive information, and yet on March 24th, the Atlantic magazine published a series of Signal messages, including sensitive information about a U.S. military operation against the Houthis in Yemen, involving you and several other Trump officials. Were you investigated for this disclosure of sensitive operational information on Signal?
Thank you, Senator. And that engagement was driven by and recommended by the Cyber Security Infrastructure Security Agency, by the Biden administration, CISA guidance.
I'm sorry.
And I have here.
This man is a liar. And by the way, we already debunked this because this is what I do, you know, like I watch every lie these people tell and then I have to go and debunk them. Like, this is one of the oldie but goodies, I believe started by Tom Cotton, that can easily be debunked. Blame it on Biden, though. And like, this is the point. If you want to stop being taken advantage of, the big beautiful bill was the largest transfer of wealth in U.S. history. There's us, the poor, and there's billionaires. Every single piece of legislation that has been enacted, all the deregulation is all a form of trickle up economics. We lose, they win. At some point, you have to stop making excuses, stop saying, but what about this, but what about that? Anybody who gaslights, anybody who lies, anyone who obfuscates when they know, we have to get rid of them. And that's on you, MAGA. These are your people. At what point are you going to say, get this guy the F out of here? He's insulting my intelligence.
Well, just the use of Signal.
Share information on Signal.
The use of Signal is not only as an encrypted app is not only authorized, it was recommended in Biden's the Biden era CISA guidance.
No, oh my God, this is so. First of all. And this is when I first started months and months ago when they started this lie and I started debunking it. What about the Trump memo that specifically told you on not to be using it? Like in this second Trump administration, they talked about not discussing, even they just talked about not doing this. And just to be clear, if anyone ever wants to Oh, well. Oh, sorry. I forgot. I'd screenshotted some comments. More lies. Biden recommended instead for unclassified items, not just it's not even, it's actually even crazier than that. It's for public information. Like they were saying, what the Biden administration was saying was like, hey, even if like you're going to text your wife about your groceries, maybe don't do it. Like do it on an encrypted end-to-end app. That's what they're saying. They're saying just don't use cell phones. Nothing is safe. No information about where you're going to be, what your family's doing, anything is safe anymore. So even like if you're just talking not about policy, not about government stuff, maybe be on an encrypted app anyways for safety. That's what they were saying. They're like, that's how little we can protect cell phones anymore. Don't talk about anything. Right? And if you ever want to look up like the real details at why Mike Waltz is a liar and what he's saying, and he knows that already, and you heard him, because Mike Waltz, I think, still has a shred of humanity. And he's like, well, just, for use, not, he knows what he's doing. But yeah, this is a great Snopes. This is a really long explanation of why that's all a lie. Thank you for the glasses. I love them. Yes, Biden administration authorized use of Signal, but not for sensitive military intel. Oh yeah, specifically not for that, but claims that U.S. President Joe Biden's administration initially authorized the use of Signal by government officials. That came back in March of 2025. That was the first lie when they were trying to be like, it's no big deal. The Biden administration was doing it. Hold on. This is a very long article, and I think I highlighted some parts at the end. Yeah. Okay. Guidance from the Cybersecurity Infrastructure Agency released in 2024 under Biden recommended that highly targeted individuals who are in senior government or senior political positions should use only end-to-end encrypted communications. Like I'm saying, meaning they're like, hey, don't text on regular phones at all. Right? And suggested using an app like Signal just to text your wife about anything. That's what they were saying. It also said Signal and other encrypted apps with features like disappearing messages and images help enhance privacy. That's the point. They're like, if you're on an iPhone, we can't, you're probably being listened to, or, someone's probably watching that. CISA published these recommendations in response to cyber espionage activity from the Chinese government-affiliated actors. While the guidance does not explicitly say it is for either personal or government devices, a news release from CISA announcing the guidance notes highly targeted individuals should assume that all communications between mobile devices, including government and personal devices and internet services, are at risk of interception or manipulation. I just want to that's what it was. They're like, hey, if you think your cell phone, whether government or personal, is safe, it's not. So try, in addition to just not using those messaging apps, particularly on iPhones, like try using encryption. Is this worth reading? 50 states found Signal accounts for state, local. Oh yeah, that's just state and local reps. I don't really care. There's one more part I wanted to read. Yeah. Wait, let me make sure I'm clear on what this is. Here we go. Furthermore, a Department of Defense memo, this is when Biden was still president, from 2023, also released under Biden, explicitly prohibits Defense Department personnel from using Signal to discuss non-public DoD information. So not even classified, just non-public. The relevant portion of the memo, which applies to, quote, to all DoD component civilians, military, and supporting contractors, and all apps running on unclassified government-owned mobile devices. On page 3 reads, unmanaged messaging apps, including any app with any chat feature, regardless of the primary function, are not authorized to access, transmit, process non-public DoD information. So Mike Waltz, you know that. So the question is, I know that because my brain works. Why would you be gaslighting the people who you're supposed to be doing what they asked you to do? MAGA, you should be upset that Mike Waltz is under oath trying to obfuscate and gaslight. That's my point. And I just suggest if you ever want that information, Snopes has like pages and pages of why none of that's true. But I think I don't want to dwell too long on this. I just want to show this one clip, which is super important. It's Cory Booker talking to Mike Waltz about what he did.
I've watched this hearing and I've been really disappointed. And what's been troubling to me about your nomination from the beginning is your failure to just stand up and take accountability for mistakes that you made and that all Americans know that you've made. Everyone in this room, every one of us has made mistakes, but what America expects from leaders, especially leaders who are tasked with our national security or could be tasked with the position for which you're nominated for, is for people to stand up and just take responsibility, take accountability.